You don't build something by waiting for the conditions to be perfect. You build something by asking yourself one very simple but extremely deep question of what What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bonde on Cheer. My name is Bonde, and here we have honest conversations about coaching, business leadership, and long-term athlete development in cheerleading. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the business, hybrid. And I don't often talk about hybrid because I never wanted entrepreneurship to become, oh, look at how awesome my life is now kind of thing. It's just not what appeals to me. I also don't think there's much value in talking about every single little struggle that you experienced. It'd be like getting on Instagram and just sharing every little argument that you've had with your partner. Like, some things can just stay private. But I did realize something recently, and that's that the value isn't the story. Whether that story is look how awesome things are, or look at how difficult things are or were, but it's the principles that are underneath the story. And I think those principles can be applied to any area, any facet of life. So a principle learned here in entrepreneurship can be applied to cheerleading, for example. So I want to share some of those stories and experiences in starting hybrid, some more of the details and specifics, because I want to tie that all into cheerleading. So when I started hybrid, I had zero idea what I was doing, like none. Okay, I left a career where I could have been making a lot of money, wearing a nice suit with a nice formal title. I walked away from that with zero business plan, just kind of an idea, and that was it. Everybody thought I was crazy. Now, to be fair to myself, when I first started hybrid, there wasn't really anywhere to get information. I couldn't really ask anybody because at this point in time, there weren't really any what I call cheer training facilities. There's been gyms around forever that have teams, all-star teams. That's what's been like the meat and potato of the cheer gym industry, like owning a cheer gym or a gymnastics gym, because those athletes come and train with you to compete at competitions, and they pay you to train so they can compete at the competitions because they have to be part of a team or a program. But nowhere were there gyms that just said, hey, we'll just teach you these skills, but we don't offer a competitive outlet. So with just classes and privates and internal non-competitive programs and third-party team training, it was kind of like, how does this work? What does this model look like? Like, how do we structure our services? How do we price these things? Like, what are the commitment levels here? It was all like a big question that nobody had the answer to. I didn't have the answer to, but I just went ahead and like jumped in 2 feet first. So I sold my car and I signed a lease to pay the landlord $2,400 a month when I was literally making $0 a month. And the cool thing about that experience is that people everywhere, always, all the internet gurus and entrepreneurial gurus are always like, you have to take risks. But I don't think you can fully, like conceptually, yes, but like emotionally, I don't think you can fully understand the emotional impact of taking a risk, like a big risk, until you actually take a big risk. Like signing a lease for $2,400 a month when your current revenue or income is zero. That hit me like to my core. I signed it and sent it back, and remember in that moment, I was just like, what did I just do? On paper, it looked like it was a terrible idea. No structured business model, no companies to look to or reference, $0 in revenue. So what happened? Obviously, I'm sitting here now. Something happened, and the answer to that question is I happened. I literally just picked one thing. I made a decision on hybrid. I put all my eggs in one basket, and I showed up every single day for years, 12 to 14 hours every day. And the realization, looking back, hindsight's 2020, the realization that I came to, what I discovered, is that there isn't a secret formula. It's just a series of trade-offs. Everybody wants the result. They want the thing, but they don't want to make the trades, the necessary trades. I traded a secure job. I traded weekends. I traded holidays. I traded vacations. I traded hanging out with friends and family. I traded everything else that makes up life. And the worst one was trading my ability to absorb risk. Like, Signing a lease for $2,400 a month when I was making zero means I have no extra money. I can't absorb anything, any like major car issue, major medical expense. Like I had no money to absorb any sort of risk, not just with the business, but with myself. I was like, I don't have money to weather any storms. And that honestly was a scare. Forget the weekends, forget the vacations. I was just like, dude, I can't afford for something to happen. And guess what? It's life. Shit happens. So everybody has different starting points in life. I think this is a major point that people get hung up on. Like, oh, well, I can't do that because blank. I can't do that because blank. And look, your education matters, okay? Your financial position matters, or your background matters, your experience matters, but none of those things remove your ability to make trades. The trades just look different for everybody, and that's what people miss. So the realization, the main takeaway, the principle here, you don't build something by waiting for the conditions to be perfect. You build something by asking yourself one very simple but extremely deep question of, what am I willing to trade? And that's exactly what being a great athlete looks like too. Every athlete is constantly making trades. You trade free time for repetitions and time spent in the gym. You trade comfort for improvement. You trade immediate gratification for long-term progress. No money for privates, you find an online resource, okay? No gym near you, you use your backyard. You don't have a backyard, you use a local park. Your friends invite you to go somewhere on the weekend, but you told yourself today was a tumble day, or that you were going to tumble during that time, or you're going to stunt, whatever. It's a tumble day. It's a stunt day. You have to get that work done first. Then you can go hang out with friends. That's a trade-off. Or you have to miss that session of hanging out with your friends. And look, I'm not saying that means life has to be miserable. Everybody's like, oh my God, but that's, don't you need to strike a balance? Like, that's unhealthy. Yes, of course. Balance matters. But if you think that you're going to become one of the top performers in your field, whatever it is, I'm not even just talking cheerleading, by finding balance, then you are sorely mistaken. You have to make a lot of trade-offs to be able to become a top performing person in any field. It doesn't matter what it is. And that is what you have to ask yourself. Am I willing to trade balance? Am I willing to trade a healthy balance for success in this one very specific area? I'm not telling anybody what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying you don't reach the top, few percent in whatever industry or whatever path by finding balance. So the biggest thing that entrepreneurship taught me, it was not business, it's ownership of those trade-offs. Those are my decisions. I own them. It's my decision to make those trade-offs or to not make those trade-offs. So with where I'm at with the business now, I would consider success by my own definition. And in that journey, I learned that success is not a mystery. It's a collection of trades that you make over and over again over a long period of time. So that's the secret. Take the risks, make the decision, accept the trade-offs, and then just keep showing up. All right, everybody. That has been another episode of Bonde on Cheer. Again, a principle that I learned brutally through my experience in entrepreneurship. For anybody that's a small business owner or an entrepreneur, then you can fully empathize with what I'm talking about. But that principle is something that I've realized and recognized exists in every facet of my life, with my diet, with my sleep patterns, with my exercise, my journey as an athlete, whether that's in cheerleading or some other fitness goal, my relationships, right? That is how I live my life. I understand the trade-offs that are going to exist based on what I want. And unless I'm willing to accept those trade-offs, then I am not going to get where I want. So reflect on that. Think about where that applies in your life as a cheerleader. You take ownership of those trade-offs, make the decision, keep showing up. You'll get there. Thank you all for continuing to listen, show up. I appreciate the love, support, kind words, and hopefully my audio has been better now that I have fine-tuned some things. So trying to get louder, trying to make sure it's playing through both ears. I apologize for previous episodes. One day at a time. All right, one day at a time. We're getting better. This is just the beginning. I will see you all in the next episode.